Money life no easy. Make money stay easy. Thank God we breathing. Many souls in the prison, but you don't know. Money life no easy. Make money stay easy. Thank God we breathing. Many souls in the prison, but you
Peace. It's your host Adam Hill and host
Sick-Held the Governor.
And this is Guess How Said. You rocking with Keystone Productions. Keystone Productions. Did I say it right this time?
You did.
Okay, appreciate it. All right, we got a special guest in the building. And fam in the building, my nephew.
Ty.
He wanted to be called Ty Dog or whatever.
Yeah, T-Dog.
T-Dog. And my man right here.
GGM Jono, man. Thank you guys for having me on today.
Yes, sir. And look, first segment, we want to talk about the lifestyle of a creator, a producer, an engineer. It's something that you do well, Gov. It's something that you do well, Ja. And I want to hear the good, bad, and the ugly. You feel what I'm saying? Because I don't want to glamorize our guests like it's all good. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I want to know what's behind the scenes and, you know, what inspired y'all and the results of the success. Because everybody see the success, but they don't see the grind and the ups and downs and, you know what I'm saying? Niggas crying in the car. Ooh, they don't see none of that. You know what I'm saying? So, without further ado, Ja, you up? Let us know a little bit of your background, what you do.
Okay.
Blah, blah, blah.
Well, my name is GGM Jono. I am the co-founder and production manager and lead engineer at GGM Baltimore, which is GGM stands for Gutter Gang Music. We are a record label, entertainment company and production company in Baltimore, but we service all of the DMV. I started a record label with my brother about 4 years ago, right before the pandemic. And we were blessed to actually survive the pandemic. Entertainment services are a luxury. And a lot of times when you're in a recession, the first thing to go is luxury goods. Right. You know what I mean? But luckily, because everybody was stuck in the house, entertainment was what everybody was seeking. We had to make a very hard pivot from physical access to our clients to digital access to our clients. So it was kind of hard. We weren't able to actually bring clients into the studio because, because of COVID and everything else like that. So we had to find a niche in the digital realm, and we survived it. It worked for us through live streaming and using other services that are out there like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We found a way to actually get paid.
So you
through
evolved in the situation.
Yeah, we evolved, and we've actually kept that model and have been using it. We the independent artist community is massive. And as a record label, a lot of times artists look at it, it's like, oh, y'all are too big. It's either you're too big or, sign me. Right. Well, what we notice is that especially in the Baltimore market and the DMV market, a lot of artists are not at the level where they're prepared to be signed and to be effective. Sure. Or they're in a place to where they think they're ready to be signed, they think they're ready for management, and they're absolutely not.
So what you mean by that, like thinking they're ready for management and being signed?
Well, signing an artist is an investment, and you have to, just like any investment, you have to look at your ROI and say, well, what's going to be my return on investment? And why am I investing in you? I'll probably say 85 to 90% of artists think that you should invest in them because they hot. And because I can rap, you know what I mean? I'll perform, I'll do anything. And there's not really any foundation there. You know what I mean? They don't have enough music released for there to be a back catalog that I could say, because once you put an artist on Front Street, this is where you heard of Russ. Russ is a rapper.
Yeah, I know him. Yeah, some say he's an industry
plant.
Yeah.
Well, the only reason I disagree with that is because I saw Russ's come up. And the way Russ came up was he just kept dropping music. And then when he finally got a single to stick, people went back and they were like, who is this guy? Let me check him out. And he had like 7 albums that he had released before, somewhere around that. And it was so much that when he blew up kind of overnight, his fans went back and to go consume his old content, and because he owned all that content and had done the business part of it, he got paid off of it. He owned it 100%, and it pushed him up to another tax bracket. So a lot of artists, they don't have enough music released. They don't have any marketing plan or strategy that makes them proprietary to the market. If anything, it's like they want to come in and just compete with other artists instead of finding a lane and a niche for their own music that'll make them successful. Music is being consumed constantly in every form of popular media, whether you're walking around the grocery store, in the mall, you're listening to some type of music. There's some underlying vibration that's pushing that experience to make it more profitable, because it is about business at the end of the day too. So a lot of artists haven't found their niche. They just know that they can create and they feel as if they're good at it. But for a record label, that's not enough. You know, I'm going to be investing studio time, recording time, mixing and mastering, graphic design, marketing campaigns, music videos, booking shows, tours, press releases.
Campaign, that falls into like the tours and stuff like that.
Or beyond, not even, and actually that's before that. You know, marketing campaigns
and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, when you have to, a lot of artists don't know, to successfully push a single, it takes 6 to 9 months. That's just one song. Just one song. Because you got to think, we live in a world, there's millions of people just in our backyard. How many people have actually heard your music? And how do you get your music to these people so that we know what they like and what they don't and what works for you as an artist? Nowadays, followers is actually a verifiable source of popularity. If someone has, like, say for instance, if an artist comes to me and they might not have a lot of music release, but they have 500,000 organic followers, that's something that I could possibly work with, because you've already proven the popularity test. People like you. And now, exactly, you're resonating with people. And nowadays, people want more than just music from artists. They want to vicariously live through you. You know what I mean? They want to walk a day in your shoes. They want to see your life. So someone who has enough follower base, now mind you, a lot of artists also don't know what a fan is. Now, I encourage a lot of artists to get a website or some type of monetized landing page. Because just for my business alone, you can go to ggmbaltimore.com. The first thing that's going to happen, it's going to pop up. We're going to have an offer for you for discounted services or a newsletter or something like that. And it's going to ask you for your email. Once you have given me your email, you have given me the right to market and sell to you. Your followers on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that, they have not given you the right to market or sell to you. They're just saying that I find you interesting. And so I'm going to watch you. I'm going to consume your content. But that's where conversion comes into play. A lot of artists are unaware of conversion. Once you convert them from a follower to a fan, now you have the right to market to them. You have the right to sell to them. So if you have a follower base, which you can convert to a fan base, let's say you got 500,000, but you can only convert 250,000 of them to actually give you their email and phone number and say, hey, you can market and sell to me. Okay. You got 250,000 people now who have given you the right to market and sell to them. Now I can start an email blast campaign. I can start a marketing campaign through YouTube, Google, and all these other avenues to help push your stuff. And if we can capture, let's say we can capture 10%, 25,000 people to actually really, really go in depth and start checking out your stuff. And then we can get 1% to actually buy something. Well, guess what? If we can get 1% of them people to make a 99-cent download, we've just generated $2,500. If you can get 1%, now we're talking, it's a numbers game. So now we're talking about 1% now. If we can get 1% of these people who we've converted to actually buy your album, we just at $9.99, we've just generated $25,000.
And that's success right there within itself.
Absolutely.
Now I wanna ask you guys a question, right? Because I'm an artist, so I don't know the ups and downs. I know for artists, MCs, rappers, whatever, we have a thing called writer's block.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have that in production? Like, what's the downsides and the struggles that I want people to know the downsides when, you're not feeling your creative side.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I want to know how do y'all fight through that?
But one way I fight through it is just change it up. Change up what I'm doing. Like say, I don't really sample much, so I play a lot. And everything comes just by ear. So if I'm doing the same thing, using the same sounds all the time, that will throw me off. Or if I'm doing the same style or the same genre, you know. So, or the same DAW. Sometimes
Right.
you gotta switch up. Just change whatever you're working in. Or sometimes I'll even do this. I drive a certain way to go to work most of the times, right? I'll just drive a completely different way. And then I'll go home a completely different way. So that way I see a totally different landscape. When I come back in to create again, new ideas are back. So that's one thing I do.
I'll say the downswings it's massive. It happens a lot. I think it happens in any industry or in any creative's process. You're gonna get to a place where you're not inspired. And it's hard to battle, honestly. It's hard to battle. I think that for me, what has helped is the fact that I've cut off any other ability to have anywhere else to run. You know, I've been working for myself and with my team now for over 10 years. I can't just stop and go get a job. You know what I mean? I need this money to come in so I can support my family. So there's a definite sense of urgency there. But that can actually...
This is not a hobby.
Exactly. This is not a hobby. This is what I do as a career. So the downside to that is that when you do hit a creative downswing, you got to find a way to get out of that rut. What I call it is the creative switch. Sometimes your creative switch is on, and sometimes your creative switch is off. And you have to find ways to re-inspire yourself and interject yourself back into your creative mode. I can go weeks, sometimes months, without creating a new record or producing something just because I'm not feeling it. Or I may be immersed in a project or something else which takes me away from it. Exactly. And when you get to that place, it's kind of like, you know, if you don't exercise a muscle, it starts to get weak.
Let me ask you this, though, real quick before we switch segments. We all know that the entertainment business is very competitive. Whether you're behind the scenes or, you're the face of what's going on, your brand, right? Do you guys look at yourselves as nicer than the Kanyes, the Timberlands? Because I get the Timberland vibe from you. I get the Hit Boy vibe from you.
Yeah.
Do y'all look at these guys that's like out there known and like, I'm better than these dudes, man. I'm just as nice and I'm better. You know what I'm saying?
When I was little, when I'm a young guy, brand new, that's like the first thought. No, I could do that. Man, they not doing this. They not doing that like I would. You know what I mean? But then when you really get into it and really start studying it, the more I look up to them. The more I look up to the legends, even the ones that are still doing it, I look up to them because they're bringing something to the thing. It's one thing to be able to bring. It's one thing to say I bring nothing out of something. Make something out of nothing, right? See, that's what a producer do. This is what the entertainer, this is what the creative person is doing.
Right.
We're able to create something out of nothing in ways that's something that sounds like talk. You know what I mean? But for us to be able to do it, you can come with a concept and actually turn it into a record. And it's turned into a video. It turned into a whole thing. You got people following. It's like a real creator. That's a real thing. It start with an idea. You know what I mean? Public Enemy. I remember seeing an interview with Chuck D talking about how he was just drawing up the concept of Public Enemy and how they were saying we wanted it to be something we didn't like. We purposely made the sound certain ways so people wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
Because we wanted it to be like an affront, Public Enemy. We wanted it to be like that.
Yeah.
So then I was surprised to hear later on, oh, I produced that first Ice Cube album. Oh, for real? Because you're thinking his production was one way.
Yeah.
Right.
Are we talking about Chuck D or Terminator?
Chuck D.
Terminator.
Chuck D was talking about that back in the day. Well, they had they produced.
Yeah.
Ice
You'd be surprised with
Yeah.
behind the scenes.
Right.
Well, we're going to, real quick, before we end the segment. Where can we find your music? Where can we find your brand? And
Oh yeah, well, you can find us at ggmbaltimore.com. Also, GGM Baltimore is you can search that on YouTube. We have a YouTube page. We post a lot of our content there. Most of the music videos that we've done, the artists I've worked with, not to mention beats. You can look up GGM Baltimore and BeatStars if you want to check out some of the productions and buy those there as well. We're pretty much everywhere. You can also just Google GGM Baltimore, and we pop up first. We our SEO is really good. And just to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying, I used to get into that place in my head a lot as a young producer, like, oh, I'm better than them. Oh, I'm I would hear my stuff and I'm like, man, what's the big difference? And sometimes the difference isn't in the creation of it. And you possibly could be better than someone at creating a certain thing, but it's not a competition in that manner. You know what I mean? It's just like there's a million bakers out here. Who makes the best cake? It's subjective. It's subjective.
As long as the cake is good.
As long as it's good. And honestly, a lot of times it's not what you know, it's who you know.
That's true.
A lot of people, and honestly, I'll say in the music industry, and a lot of cats won't tell you this, the music industry is full of nepotism.
Oh, dang.
The music industry is full of nepotism.
That's me, right?
Somebody knows somebody who knows somebody who's somebody's uncle, and you get put in the room with the right person. Right. When you're not actually connected to anyone in the industry, there are massive barriers to entry. And
because promises have been made. All right, like say for example, I promised my nephew. I'm a big exec. I promised my nephew. All right, no, my brother. Look, when your nephew turns about 17, I'm gonna go ahead and sign him. Right now, brand new person that's a hot sensation, but he not connected to anyone.
Exactly.
He shows up. He wants the same deal that my nephew supposed to get.
It's not happening.
It's not gonna happen.
Right.
Or just like the way the laws have changed with music. If you are in the room when I'm creating, like say for instance, if you're in the room when I'm writing my album, and you contribute anything to the creative process, even if it's energetically, you're entitled to writer's credits. So sometimes just knowing the right people, you can be a hang around. You know what I mean? And you could be the guy. I'm the one who told the Migos to say, "Mama." You know what I mean?
Life change overnight. Real quick, where can we reach you at? And
you can reach me at thegovernorsmansion.net, DAGUVNAS Mansion, MANSION.net. Also Instagram, Governor's Mansion and Governor's Mansion. I got like snippets of beats. I'm not doing really too much yet, but I've just been like a lot of composing type things like that.
And can I say too, just because you said composing, there's a massive difference between producers and beat makers.
Oh, big time.
There's a huge difference. A producer, like what you were saying, can take something from scratch, take a concept, like what we do in the studio. We've made some amazing stuff from skits and sketches, stuff that gives me chills, man. Beat makers can't do that, and now the game has been so torn up from the floor up, like even with AI and everything that's going on, they got stuff out now. I'm not hating on it. It's good, especially for beginner producing stuff, but it inhibits the creativity. Like you got something called Beat Monkey and all this other stuff to where it auto-generates bass lines, auto-generates drums, auto-generates melodies, and all you have to do is go through and just click what the best sound is and put it together.
The fugazi is real.
Yeah.
These two guys working on my project. He's on my project on hunting season, and he's hands-on in my project. You know what I'm saying? Born and Fair, and he will be working on my project. Hopefully, inshallah, this fall. Yep. AOD2, The Art of Dying 2. So there's a lot of pressure on you, dog. You know what I'm saying? You back to Guess I'll Say It, and I'm your host Adam Hill, and this is.
Guess I'll Say It podcast. I'm sick of the governor though.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So all right.
Money life no easy. Make money stay easy. Thank God we breathing. Many souls in the prison, but you don't know. Money life no easy. Make money stay easy. Thank God we breathing. Many souls.